At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Let's take a look at this great concert coming up this Saturday, November 1st. A.J. Lee and Blue Summit is going to be at the Cascade Theater. Be sure to check that out. If you are a big bluegrass fan, then I think you're going to love what you see here. They are a semi-local band coming to you from Santa Cruz, redefining bluegrass with soul, grit, and California charm. Don't miss your chance to see A.J. Lee and Blue Summit live in concert. Tickets are on sale now. You can grab your tickets before they sell out at cascadetheater.org. All right, let's go and take a look at some of those rainfall totals. Now, some of these verified, some of these didn't. When I say that, that is, you think about some of the estimates that I gave you throughout last week. Now, for the most part, I was talking about potentially about a half an inch, give or take, for the valley. For the mountains, for the coast, about 2, 3, even 3.5 inches of rain. Didn't quite see that, but it was close in some spots. And then, of course, less for the south end of the valley, less to the east. Now, I also mentioned Thursday, Friday, that there's a potential for some rain to kind of push through parts of the north end of the valley. A little bit farther south than I was anticipating. That's why Red Bluff did get to see almost an inch and a half, as well as Redding. But I did mention, here's one thing that did verify quite nicely, and that is with these systems that kind of push through like this, the winds blow up the mountains on the coastal range, squeezes out the moisture. We see a lot of rainfall there. We see a bit of shadowing for most of the valley. Of course, you see we didn't see a ton of shadowing for the valley, but some shadowing nonetheless. And then those winds blow up the mountains east of the valley, squeezes out more moisture, and you get more rainfall as a result. I mean, look at Shingletown, 4.08. Now, that was just east of Shingletown proper, a little bit more in the higher elevations there, but you get the idea. And then, of course, less as you head to the east, like Susanville, Quincy, and even Alturas. But look at Hoopa, 2.02. Crescent City, 1.45, which is actually less than what Redding saw. 1.72 in Eureka, 1.84 in Redway. So again, very impressive amounts of rainfall. Didn't see a ton of flooding. There was on Saturday some minor flooding in some areas, parts of the valley that did see some of that heavier rainfall. It's kind of interesting. So how are we doing for the season? Well, as you know, or may or may not know, the rainfall season for California starts October 1st. So since October 1st of this year, for the season so far, we are over 100% of average for everyone. Look at Red Bluff, 309% of average. That's pretty nice. Mount Shasta City, 109. Redding, 169% of average. So yeah, looking good. Looking good, my friends. And the thing, though, things have kind of dried out a bit here. We also saw some snow in the mountains. Take a look at this. This is out at Lassen Park. This is out at the near the south entrance of the park, 6,700 feet. If anybody's spent any time out there last week, well, it's now a different story, isn't it? It looks a lot different. This is actually in California Pines, courtesy of Bobby Jean. I want to thank him for sending in this image at 6,200 feet. Now, I'd mentioned that snow level is going to be averaging around 5,500 to 6,500 feet. Well, look at that. A lot of snow up there. There was even snow on Cedar Pass, which did create some chain requirements out in that area. By the way, Bobby sent that photo from the Free Weather NorCal app, and you can do it yourself from the Free Weather NorCal app on your iPhone, your Android. Just scroll to the bottom there. Share your photos. You might see it right here on Coffee with Krueger. You might see it on the morning show as well. How about those chain requirements? There were chain requirements about a couple of hours ago on Cedar Pass, but those have since then been lifted. But taking a look at what it looks like right now, some reason that's been doing that. I'm going to have to see what the setting is. It's kind of a weird setting. Let's go ahead and throw that up and see what happens. All right, that's kind of weird. Anyway, taking a look at road conditions, this is east of I-5 on Highway 299. Looks a little slushy on Hatchet Mountain at about 4,300 feet. That slushy kind of, they look like raindrops, but looks like a little bit of a slush, at just a little bit of frozen in there for Hatchet Mountain on the camera lens there. This is, you can also see on the far right there, that Cedar Pass at a little over 6,000 feet. Looks like a bit of a sheen there. Maybe a little bit of ice. I'd say there's some patchy ice. I'd be careful. It's probably going to be a little slick up there. All right, let's go and take a look at our weather headlines. You can see warmer and drier pattern this week. quite the transition, right? From the cool, wet, and even windy at times throughout the weekend to drier and warmer, but still a bit breezy, especially for the valley over the next few days, through at least the middle of the week. But a warming trend will peak on Wednesday before temperatures drop slightly, but still above normal. Dry and mild for Halloween and even going into next weekend. So here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for you Monday, October 27th. First of all, let's talk about the cold temperatures. There's a freeze warning until 9 o'clock this morning for central and western Siskiyou County. A frost advisory until 9 o'clock this morning for Del Norte, the coast of Del Norte and Humboldt counties. A frost advisory for tomorrow morning for Trinity County. But it's still going to be cold there right now. In fact, take a look at the temperatures out there. Obviously not frost type of temperatures. 40 degrees in Weaverville, 37 in Hayfork. Well, look at Mount Shasta City, 35, 30 Wairika. Temperatures mid to upper 40s for the valley, although a little bit warmer in Chico at about 52. 31 in Alturas and 41 degrees right now in Susanville. So out the door this morning, if you're in the valley, a light jacket might be needed, depending on how you handle 44 degrees. A heavier jacket in the higher elevations, Siskiyou County, upper 20s, mid-20s for Modoc County, mid-30s for the eastern mountains, and for the north coast, quite cold in the upper 30s. So you got that storm system off to our west, but high pressure is going to be pushing that storm system up to our north, and we'll be left with dry conditions. But the winds, that's something we need to talk about here, because it still be a bit breezy out there with those north winds in the valley. About 20, could see some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour. And you know, the thing is, even going to this afternoon, they're still a bit breezy. Tonight, tomorrow morning, still a little breezy out there, but I think the strongest winds will be around midday, subsiding a little bit going into the overnight hours. So today, it's warming up from what we saw over the weekend, but still below normal. We're talking mid to upper 60s in the valley, 40s, really 50s for most of the higher elevations, although in Trinity County, inland low to mid 60s there, and then upper 50s for the coast. Now for tonight, another cold night. We're dropping down to generally upper 40s, give or take, for the valley, 20s, 30s for the mountains north and east of the valley, 30s and 40s for Trinity County inland, and low 40s tonight for the coast. All right, so that's why, of course, you got that frost advisory for Trinity County, by the way. It'll be colder tonight to tomorrow morning. So your 7-day forecast for the valley, generally after today, we're generally in the mid to upper 70s. The warmest should be on Wednesday with highs around 80. For the coast, inland, actually a chance for, there's a storm system I'm tracking that could clip the north coast on Saturday. This is nothing that's guaranteed, but it's, you know, something to keep in mind. There might be a chance for a shower on Saturday. Otherwise, you're dry through Friday. Trinity County, I'm going to keep it dry. Temperatures generally in the mid 70s. For Siskiyou, Modoc County, eastern mountains, generally in the mid to upper 60s after today. Obviously still quite cool today. But there you can see temperatures a little bit warmer, especially out towards Susanville. They're looking at the low 70s by Saturday and Sunday. All right, so that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. If that's all you needed, have a great day. And once you stick around, we've got more to talk about here with what we can expect for the rest of this week and maybe when we expect to see another chance for some rain in the forecast. But looking at Main Street Chico, looks like it's all clear there. We're looking at traffic looking pretty good there this morning, just a bit on the chilly side. I mean, use that defroster. Might get a little foggy inside the car there. There you can see Highway 44, Sundial Bridge Drive in Reading. Can't really see much other than the headlights and some of the street lights there. This is looking out at Crescent City Harbor District. The camera froze up on me again. Let's see if it looks any different here. It doesn't. So that's what you're looking at this morning out at Crescent City Harbor District this morning. Not much going on there, is it? Taking a look at Bald Hill West, this is looking down at Hoopa Valley. You can, of course, see the city lights there and some of those kind of low clouds just kind of hovering around the area. Well, today is Monday. We've got our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. And what is it? This week we meet an interesting frog, not a tree frog, not local to this area, but very interesting nonetheless because it's tiny, but it's expected to get quite large. Check this out, kind of interesting. everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal, and you are watching Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. And we got a special guest, two special guests actually. We got Jaden from Turtle Bay, welcome.
Hi.
And we've also got a frog.
Yeah.
I'm calling it a frog, but there's really more to it than that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So this right here is the pixie frog.
Pixie. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, it's also known as the African bullfrog.
All right.
Now,
okay.
We're this guy right here. He gets his name, the pixie frog, because he has this genus, Pixiocephalus, means small head. But this little guy one day could get as big as a dinner plate.
Okay, that's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
Well, some dinner plates are small, but
Well,
I think, yeah.
This right here, the second biggest frog in the world.
What? I mean, when it gets bigger, right?
Yes, not right now. I mean, we have bigger ones here.
Yes.
But yes, one day this little guy will get pretty large. Think about that large Thanksgiving dinner plate.
Yeah.
Up to 4 pounds. You can see already pretty active.
And then any noises? Do they make noises?
The males do definitely. So they're pretty known for like breeding season. You're going to hear those males calling all the time.
Is that something that is local here?
Yeah.
So
even
they're
our
the ones
native.
that hear in my backyard?
Well, he's not a native frog here, but not this guy specifically. But you will hear the tree frogs we have native to Redding. You'll hear them all the time.
So you're saying they're going to get bigger. You don't know right now if it's a male or female, right?
No, we don't. We're going to have to wait a couple months, see as he grows, look at size, look at color. We won't know for a bit.
Now, how long have you had this guy or gal or
just
something?
1 week?
1 week?
I think just 1 week.
Okay,
and
so this is brand new.
Brand new and already eating like a champ.
That is awesome. Well, I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, when you say pixie frog, I think of like pixie dust or something like that.
Yeah, tiny little guy.
And I love that green little line that we have going on there.
And they'll keep that until they're full-grown adults too. It really helps with that camouflage.
And you say, I think we were talking about too, up to about 4 to 5 pounds?
Oh yeah, males will get up to 4 to 5 pounds.
So this right here will be up to 4 to 5. Wait,
yeah.
that's crazy.
I know, our arms are gonna get heavy holding this guy someday.
You're gonna, when he grows up, you're gonna be like, I remember the days when you were just a small little child.
You fit in the palm of my hand.
There you go, not anymore.
I'll have to start a baby book.
Well, Jaden, thank you so much. Have you guys named the frog yet?
We haven't yet.
Okay, so we're going to be getting there. Maybe pixie dust.
Ooh.
I think that would be my suggestion. But, I'm not the expert.
Add it to the list, right?
We'll see what Sharon thinks about that. She probably is going to shake her head no. But thank you, Jaden. Thank you. No name just yet, but we're looking forward to seeing you grow. And that has been Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Once again, I want to thank Grange Co-op for sponsoring not only Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, but the animal family segment in general. Of course, without our sponsors, we would not have all these great segments. We would not have Weather NorCal, and it would not exist. Well, you know what? Over during this, I was watching some of your comments this morning. Oh man, I forgot to do it's not working for some reason. I'm going to have to reboot the system here. I thought I did that over the weekend. I guess it's not working properly. Anyway. Curtis Brown saying, good morning, Mike. We had 0.92 inches of rain since Friday night. Most of it was on Sunday. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think there was quite as much on Saturday, but I do know that just east of you, there was about 1.5 inches. So it just depends on where you are. Chrissy Bentley, kind of interesting. She's saying, how about locals in Shingletown traveling to Redding? Well, you don't have to worry about chain requirements, that's for sure. The roads may be a little wet left over from some of the rain that we've seen. There may be some patchy fog as you start going into some of those valleys. So just be aware of that. You may run into some of that patchy fog traveling to Redding, but overall, I don't anticipate there to be any chain requirements. There are no chain requirements for all of Northern California right now. There were chain requirements on Cedar Pass earlier this morning, but those have since then been lifted. Hey, by the way, let's get into our deeper dive forecast, shall we? Thank you, by the way, Chrissy and Curtis, for checking in this morning. And of course, Chrissy has a great question, especially if you're coming down from Shingletown to the Redding area. Or if you're going from Redding to Shingletown, just note again, same story, a little bit, maybe some patchy fog and some wet roads, but that'll probably be about it. I want to thank Wind River for their support and of Coffee with Krueger. They are the primary sponsor of Coffee with Krueger at Wind River Resort and Casino. Enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, so let's get into that deeper dive forecast. For those of you that are new to Weather NorCal, what I do during my 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. weathercast, and of course on Coffee with Krueger, is I do a quick cast. For those of you in a hurry, you don't really need a whole lot of detail. Just know what to expect. And, you know, from coming from an expert, you get it there in Krueger's Quickcast. But I've also known to kind of go into a lot of detail. And that's what Krueger's, the Deeper Dive Forecast is all about. So you can really kind of get a lot of the details. So you can really, you know, get the story behind the actual forecast. All right, so let's start with this. You know, sometimes I forget to check the images or any photos that some of you may have sent, but I was surprised to see that Bobby Jean sent this beautiful shot from California Pines. Now, this is from yesterday when they saw the snow, several inches, as a matter of fact. Looks a little wet, looks a little heavy, but it was snow nonetheless at 6,200 feet. You can share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app. It's really simple. All you do is scroll to the very bottom. It'll say share your photo. Boom, you can share your photo. Just make sure that you give the app access to your photo library and you'll be able to share any of your photos. It's fun. You can see them right here on Coffee with Krueger. You can see them on the morning update, and you might even see it on social media as well. All right, so let's take a look at the temperatures out there right now. It is a cold, cold start to the day, pretty much anywhere you look at it. Temperatures obviously coldest in the higher elevations. We're down to 31 this morning in Alturas, 41 in Susanville, 40 for Weaverville, low 40s for the coast. And how about the valley? Quite chilly. You're talking mid to upper 40s for Redding and Red Bluff, but more like the low 50s for places like Chico. So here's the big picture. We've got this storm system here. It looks like it's heading our way, but it's actually going to do this. It's going to move up to our north. That's because high pressure is in place and it's going to push that energy northward. Now, we will see some of the clouds associated with that, but overall, not any rainfall. As you can see here, there's the warm front rain. Then, of course, you get the cold front with the rain there as well. But here's high pressure for Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, here's the thing. As we go into Wednesday, this may clip, say, Del Norte County. That could maybe bring you a sprinkle or a light shower, especially for Wednesday morning. But overall, still dry for everyone throughout the week. This will also help to contribute to some winds at times, some gusty winds at times for at least the northern Sacramento Valley for today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and then should subside going into your Thursday. But there you can see we still have high pressure in place as we go into Thursday, Friday. But we got this storm system we've got our eyes on. Now, as of right now, it looks like it too may clip the north coast a little bit more so than, say, Wednesdays. And I do actually have a chance for showers in the forecast for the north coast for your Saturday. But I think everyone else will remain dry as the bulk of that energy will stay to our north. Now, I was talking about the winds a little gusty at times. You'll notice that today for the valley at least. There you can see gusts upwards of around 20, 25 miles per hour. So yeah, breezy, borderline windy. Not as bad for your Tuesday, but they'll pick back up again for Wednesday afternoon, especially as that cold front kind of pushes up from our north, give us a little bit on those gusty winds at times. But then, as I mentioned, by Thursday, those winds will subside. I don't know what happened there. I got two of them on there. But anyway, here you go. Warmer than normal conditions as predicted by the Climate Prediction Center. And you know what? I agree with that. Take a look at this. Here's high pressure. That's going to be the dominant feature this week. Now, we'll see a couple of storms ride over that ridge at times. And that'll kind of allow that ridge to strengthen, then weaken, then strengthen again. So a little bit of this going with our temperatures this week. Probably seeing a peak on Wednesday, a slight dip though going toward the end of the week. But that's the overall trend. We don't see anything heading our way, at least through the weekend, as far as any significant rain is concerned. Now, taking a look at that 10-day outlook, yeah, I mean, the normal high for the valley is about 74 degrees. But overall, you can see here, we're going to be above that. Now, there's that little peak on Wednesday, and then we hover in the mid to upper 70s through this weekend, early next week. This right here is a sign of cooler temperatures, number one, but I am seeing maybe the potential for a little bit more wet weather by the middle of next week. So we'll see. That's a long way out. But for now, just enjoy this beautiful fall weather. Take a look at the lake levels. We did see them drop almost a foot for Lake Oroville over the last 24 hours. But for the most part, the main thing I like to look at is keeping those historical averages, keeping that above normal. Now, the wave heights are dropping today, and they're going to drop for your Tuesday. But as that cold front kind of clips the north coast, we may see these winds, the wave heights pick back up again for your Wednesday. But overall, looking pretty good out there. A little breezy, north winds at about 10 to 15 knots, with your waves from the west at 8 feet at about 12 seconds. No small craft advisories, no alerts really in general. So here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Taking a look at Trinity County, you've got those temperatures in the mids after today. So still a cool start to the week. But after today, we're going to see those temperatures kind of average out of the mid 70s. And that's the case even for places like Hayfork as well. Dry conditions today, 59 for High and Palm, 62 in Ruth, as also the case out in Hayfork. Here's your Dignity Health North Coast neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s, 60 degrees for Red Crest and 61 degrees in Honeydew. Up north, about 58 for Ferndale, 58 in Hydesville, and 56 for Rio Dell. There it is. Chance for showers on Saturday. But I would say that on Saturday, not a chance for showers, places like Garberville, for example. Hoopa, you've got that chance as well on Saturday. Temperatures are going to be the upper 50s to some low to mid 60s inland. Although Gasky about 58, 62 for Smith River. Crescent City also that chance for showers on Saturday. And we'll watch Wednesday. But for now, I'm going to keep Wednesday dry. It's just going to clip Delnor County. And here's your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. 63 in Syed Valley, 64 in Horse Creek, dry for the next 7 days. Scott Valley temperatures today, a little cool, mid 50s, starting off with some of that low cloud cover. That should dissipate, though, through the afternoon. Central Eastern Siskiyou County, you've got temperatures in the upper 40s for some of the higher plains here, so it should be a bit cooler. Otherwise, you're talking low 50s for Weed and Mount Shasta. Dunsmuir about 57. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, 48 degrees for Newell, 49 for Alturas, so still quite chilly, but we're back into the low 60s by tomorrow through the rest of the week. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast for Bernie, mid 50s, back in the mid to upper 60s by Tuesday through Friday, keep it in the upper 60s through the weekend. Your Lake Elminor and Lassen Park forecast here. There you can see for Lake Elminor, mid to upper 50s, and looks like 40s and 50s out towards the park. There's going to be some snow out there. I did not check, but you may want to check to see if that road is even open through the park. They did see some snow, and there certainly were some chain requirements over the weekend as well. There's a look at the Eastern Mountains to the south. Paradise, you'll be looking at temperatures back in the 70s by Tuesday, Wednesday, but for Susanville in the upper 60s by Wednesday, Thursday. Here's your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. The temperatures, I guess, as I mentioned, starting off a little on the cool side, generally in the mid to upper 60s here. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico, up to about 80 by Wednesday, but mid to upper 70s for Thursday and your Halloween day. And then temperatures still in the upper 70s over the weekend. And by the way, Sunday, yes, you need to set those clocks back an hour. All right, here's your look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the north with 66 for the city of Shasta Lake, 68 for Redding, and Palo Cedro, about 67 degrees. Here is your 7-day forecast for Redding. Again, we see a little bit of a peak in that warming trend on Wednesday with a high of about 81 degrees. And then we're talking mid to upper 70s here for Thursday, Friday, upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday as well. So that's going to look at your forecast here. It was definitely an interesting weekend. We did see some decent rain for those of you that are just checking in and didn't get a chance to see the top of the show. Let's take a look at some of those totals that we did see here. And you can see, again, this is one of the things I want to just kind of talk about here real quickly, is that there is some semi-verification of the forecast. Basically, what I've been talking about here since really through a good portion of last week, say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is that it'd be about 1.5 to 3 inches of rain along the coast. And that the valley on average would see about 1/2 inch. Now, it depends where you are in the valley, right? Because look at Willows. It didn't even see 1/10 of an inch of rain. Only about 3/10 of an inch of rain in Chico. But Redding, Red Bluff, close to Redding, about 1.5 inches. Red Bluff, close to 1.5 inches. Although my friend Curtis Brown, west of Red Bluff, only saw 0.92 of an inch of rain, which most of it came on Sunday. We also have Corning at about 1/2 inch, right? But one of the other things that I mentioned, and of course less, we certainly did see less in the coast than I was anticipating as well. But taking a look at the two areas that see the most amount of rainfall, the yellows on the map there, that's typical with this type of storms, these series of storms, is the winds blow up the mountains, it squeezes that moisture out, and that's where you see the heaviest amount of rainfall is in the mountains, right? Especially with those winds blowing up those mountains. So we saw that You can see there in Humboldt County in southwestern Siskiyou County. But also, we tend to see some shadowing in the valley, which we did. And then, of course, those winds went back up the mountains east of the valley, and there's some heavier rainfall there as well. So you can see Shingletown, over 4 inches of rain there. Now, I will say this, that's just east of Shingletown proper, where we saw some of that heavier rainfall. But look at, Crescent City, 1.45, Etna, about 1.96, and about an inch out near Mount Shasta City. And, even Alturas did quite well at 0.81 inches of rainfall. Take a look at how we're doing so far for the season, too. Look at that. We are above average, well above average for the season. Now, the season starts October 1st. So we tipped the rain buckets on September 30th. And here on October 1st, what we do is we tip that bucket and we start from scratch, start from zero. So since October 1st, starting off the season, we are well over 100% in most cases, over 300% of average for Red Bluff. So yeah, we'll certainly take that. All right, that's going to do it for us this morning, folks. So what do you say we get ready to wrap up the show, shall we? And while we do that, what I want to do is get some cameras ready for you to go. And we'll take a look at Soda Ridge. See if Soda Ridge is popping up on the map here. See what it looks like. It looks a little low clouds and fog. But that's going to do it for us this morning. I'm going to leave you some images. Have yourselves a great Monday. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow morning at 6:30. Have a great day.
Thank you.